All right, so I am a big drum head. Like I love drums. Like I think every keyboard player started on drums, so I'm nothing special. But I just feel like drums is the beef, is the movement of every record. And this particular song, it was about drums, really. It's about rhythm, and it was about this warfare worship is what I call it. Pressing in and making people feel like okay, something is about to happen, like I said earlier. So I'm not a heavy loop dude, so I'm gonna pull up my loops here. Before I go to this, I want to kind of talk about just my loop right here. It's a simple loop. I'll let you check it out. All I got going is a shaker, tambourine, and then there's this low frequency. It's like a low kick frequency that's underneath. I'll kind of show you where I got that, but just simple because I'm not really a loop guy. It really gets in the way, but I'm this type of guy that's gonna add little things like that. So that chain shake right there, it kind of adds to the downbeat of of the loop. It just kind of adds. I know there's a tambourine in the loop, but this chain shake kind of helps it feel a little something more. You know what I mean? So now I'm gonna add that back in there. Adds to the one right there. Okay. So another thing I'm big on is kind of accenting cymbal swells. Like you'll hear this on a lot of my records. Like this specific cymbal swell that I use a lot. Maybe I shouldn't use it so much, but I'm a fan of it because it really marries the transitions together. So it's not just like an abrupt okay transition to the next downbeat. I like it to feel like something is happening there. So this right here, this loop cymbal swell, mind you, all my loops I label loop because I you always have to think about who's gonna touch your record after you, and you want to make sure that they understand what you're trying to say. So if you just label it loop, you can keep your sub name, but you categorize your stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Your engineer will love you for it. But this loop cymbal swell right here, that's to my downbeat, because I need to feel again a transition that makes the four and the one marry. Two, ready. It marries instead of two, ready, and nothing happens. It's small things like that. It's like production to me is it's a conglomerate. It's a mashup of a bunch of small good decisions. It's not this one thing that you do and it's a great production. It's all the time consuming things that most people don't want to do, you have to do because they at the end of the day they make a difference. Like here again, here's another little element help that helps me bring out. It just brings something out of the mix. Two, ready, and that's like a loop knock. So it's frequency. The frequency is out of the way of the cymbal, that chain shake, and it's out of the way of the snare. So it has its own frequency. You can even look up, like you can stock EQ. A lot of EQs do this, but you can pull it up and look at what a frequency. Your snare is going to be around 200. Of course, your cymbals are going to be after probably 5K. So that loop knock has a space of its own. So you always want to pick instruments that frequency has its own frequency in the mix. Like, don't just pick it because I like that. I hear all the time people just use a snap. But the point in using a snap is that it has its own frequency and it stands out in the mix. So you don't have to fight. That snap should not have to fight with any other thing. You know what I mean? So pick your instruments according to frequency, not just because you like it. Okay, so I keep moving with my loop, and this is all stuff I'm building in my loop. So back here, because we wanted it to feel like okay for the non-musical people that don't know how to clap, that picks the one and the three to clap on. Okay, it's okay to clap on the 1 and the 3, but it's okay to clap on 4 on the floor as well. So I wanted to let them know that it was okay to do that. So I added claps on the downbeat. So I'm a big claps loop type guy. If you listen to a lot of my music, I will have claps, but I'm not just going to leave them naked like that. I don't like the sim reverb printed on my stuff because you want to let the engineer do that, but you want to give them a reference. So I'll go to just a stock, and throw a reverb just to give it some impulse response. Just give it a little room. Because you want to marry, because this was a live recording, you want to marry the room. So you want to emulate those claps like they are actually in the room, and these are people actually doing it, even though it's sampled. Reverb does that. But just be careful with reverb. Because you can get a lot of buildup, and it will kind of like saturate and muddy up your mix. So yeah, be careful with your reverb. But yeah, that's called impulse response, and it makes it feel wider. Give us a sense of room. That's what you want to use it for. Also, stomps. So I'll let you kind of hear those by themselves too. These are special because it helps that low frequency to your music. I had a buddy of mine tell me one time, my kick, I don't know if I can say this, but he told me one time, he said, man, your kick has no booty. And I'm like, oh, I felt bad because I'm like thinking my kick sounded good, but it had nothing, no ump to it, and it's little things you can do. Like what I like to do is layer my kick drum. So I'll layer it, and I'll get to that when I get to my drums, but I'll layer my kick drum sometimes 3 to 4 times just to add to the frequencies that the kick is giving you. Because sometimes that kick alone is just not enough ump, to it. In this case, stomps add this depth to it, and it just makes you feel like people are stomping. Again, add a reverb to it if you want to. Here's where I get a lot of my drums from. Like,
hey, bro, John Mike, you done it again, bro. You done it again.
I'm a fan of Stylus. I'm a big fan of Stylus. All their stuff is great to me, but this is where it is. If you want to look for something like that, it'll be in your hard edge and slams. So if you go into there, it's about like maybe the C1 range where you'll get those low, but you just got to go through the preset and find those. But because they're printed now, they're printed to audio. But normally, of course, it would be MIDI, but that's where those are. And every song is not going to need that. This song did. The last thing I got in my loop right here. I really don't know why I put that in there, but it did something. It did something to me because it's there. What I like to do is I overdo everything, and then I go back and pull out what's needed. So this loop had probably another 10 tracks to it that I came back later and said, okay, I don't need that. Let me just mute that. It's better to have too much than not enough. So speaking of drums, like that, the toms were pretty crucial to this song. So as you can hear, the drummer, which I'm gonna play those stems, the drummer is do 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 do, but sometimes those toms are just not enough. Most times they're not enough for my taste. So I came back and I added these here. So those are on top of the actual drummer playing that same groove. The drummer would be like, man, I'm doing it. You know, you don't need to do that. But yeah, I get it. You doing the part, but I'm complimenting you, you know, and that's the point in production. Yeah, there's the part doing that, but I'm accenting you. So it's a little offset, you know, because it makes it feel like it's a big, you know, band on stage with a bunch of toms and we all playing it together. So you hearing the drummer do it, but then you also feel those doing it, you know? So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play like the live drums without my loop. This is just drums. I think I'm at the vamp of this song or whatever. You hear that? That's what he playing. We're at the chorus. So that's what he's doing, right? Now when I add that loop in there, listen to how bigger and wider it gets. You know, without all the mixing, it's not mixed or anything like that. But without all the impulse responses, that's gonna make it merry. This is what you got. So it's just moving. It's like, and really it takes a lot of finesse. Like what I like to do with my loops, I'll do a small loop, but then I'll go back and I'll play by hand all the way to the end of the song, because you kind of want it to be a little loose. You don't want to quantize like everything, you know, in your loops. You want it to be loose. You want it to feel off. That's the live energy. That's the real musicianship you'll get. So although you're playing it on a keyboard, maybe don't quantize it, because that's going to give it a sense of, you know, expression. It just feels natural when you get off the grid sometimes. So again, drums on their own. Because just to be honest, I sent this to one of my favorite mix engineers, John Blast, and he sent me my first big mix back, and right away I'm like, it's missing something. And I knew right away I needed to go back and add these. Sorry. I needed to go back and add just these over top of my mix. So I'm gonna play that without that. I'm gonna keep the loop in there, and I'm gonna play drums and the loop, but I'm gonna mute that tom. And I'm like, it's cool, it was moving. But I said, hey John, I'm gonna send you a file. Can you throw this on top of it? I threw it. And he's like, that's exactly what it needed. Like, because sometimes you don't know what the record needs until you hear it mixed. And that's kind of like why I even started mixing, because I'm like, I needed to hear my frequencies and sonically where things sit. You know what I'm saying? So I think every producer should learn the basic elements of mixing. You might not have the polished ears, you know, some people have, but you at least need to know balance and sonic frequencies that's going to tell you what your record is going to need.
Y'all, want to thank you for making it to the end of this clip. We appreciate you watching this breakdown. If you want to see more videos like this, please feel free to check out the links right over here. If you want to take your production, mixing, or whatever to the next level, or check out some of the other products that we have, make sure you check the links down in the description and in the comment section of this video. All right, I appreciate you guys. We'll see y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace.